again.
Yeah. All right. Yesterday, Shawn Bell, Baylor quarterbacks coach, met with the media to talk about his position and the competition that they will have between the incumbent Gary Bohannon and Blake Shapen. Here is Shawn Bell from yesterday's practice.
Question for him?
Shawn, is this a little different from last year? You've got some veterans, guys with some experience.
Yeah, I think that, this time last year there was a lot of unknown. We got a lot of quarterbacks. Do we have any quarterbacks? What are they going to look like? And, I think we're in a good position in my room, and it's a testament to those guys, their hard work. And I feel like the depth in that room is something that we can keep winning football games and feel good about those guys, how hard they work and who they are.
What's it like having your brother alongside you? That's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's exciting for him, and I think it's really exciting for us. I know what he brings to the table as far as a person, as a coach, as far as, helping us, X and O wise, but also what he's going to bring to the table with the relationship with the players. And he's on the defensive side, so we don't really cross paths that much, but I'm excited for him, but really a great opportunity for us, and he's helping us get better.
Shawn, from where they came from, the way that those guys performed, how proud of them were you, just in terms of what they were able to get done last year as pretty much unproven guys?
Yeah, I think I was proud of the success that they had and the success that the team had. I was probably more proud of how they handled themselves, to have Blake sitting in the waist, sitting with his waiting on his opportunity and being ready when his name was called. Gary, when he gets hurt and he's not sulking, he's supporting Blake. And it's probably one of the neatest things I've seen in my time of coaching, of two guys that were selfless and gave everything to the team, and didn't matter who was back there under center, they were supporting each other, and really neat to be a part of, and definitely proud of their hard work and the success that they had.
Do you feel like that's kind of spilled over to this spring? I know there's still kind of a competition there, but what does that kind of look like this year?
Yeah, I think we're competing everywhere. That's the name of the game. Is every position, every year, we're going to put the best 11 on the field on offense and defense. And I think Gary understands that, Blake understands that, Kyron and CJ understand that. And so that's the nature of the beast. Is football's about competing every single day. Those guys welcome that, they encourage that, and I think they want that. I don't think they want anything handed to them. They know that competition is going to breed, success, and they're going to keep building from that competition. Gary makes Blake better, Blake makes Gary better, Kyron makes all of them better, and so does CJ.
Shawn, is Blake, is he all the way back from a shoulder injury? Is he looking good?
Yeah. So Blake's 100% back. It was kind of a quiet time knowing what happened in bowl season. But yeah, he's 100% back, was full go in the off season, and no restrictions at all.
What does Gary have to do? Coach talked about it the other day. He just needs to keep improving. Are there specific things he needs to do to get better?
Yeah, I think that's what we talk about every single day, is what we're trying to get better that day. And I think Gary's focus right now is probably being better, he'll tell you, progressionally. So what that means is being able to work through reads and being balanced in his lower half and being consistent when the first read's not there. So that's something we're working on. And, I think that he's always continued to be a better leader. And I think that's who Gary is. He wants to be better in all aspects. But that'd probably be the one thing that our focal point is this spring. And, I think each one of them, we talked about what they have to do to get better, and that's probably his biggest point of emphasis right now.
What could Blake do to get better?
I think Blake, as far as a passer, has a lot of natural ability. I think he knows just as far as consistency. And one of the big things I think Blake's improved on and worked on is his leadership. And he went through a 8-week leadership training with a lot of other guys, and I think he's learning and growing. And it's hard being a young guy that's kind of thrust into that role. And he's really kind of focused on that. That's one of his goals, is to continue to improve as a leader. And so it's not as much physical all the time, especially at the quarterback position. It's just as much mental as anything else. And so I think leadership's probably his point of emphasis. And when I say, even Gary and Blake, both of them, these are things that they say they need to work on, and I see the same thing.
Besides leadership, are there some other intangibles that you'd like to see from all of your quarterbacks in that quarterback room?
Yeah, I think that as we take the next step as a football team, there were times last year offense may have played better, and later in the year I felt like our defense was really playing good football and carrying us. You look at the Sugar Bowl, I think we as an offense know that we've got to take that next step. We lost some guys on defense, and the quarterback room specifically, our goal is to be way more consistent, to be way more involved. You lose a couple playmakers, and so our game has to step up. And so, we've got to be better in that room, and we understand that and embrace that challenge.
How big is it to have all those O-linemen? And they hardly gave up a sack last year.
Yeah, I think that's huge. For Connor Galvin and Khalil Keith and guys that have been here a long time, and along with Jacob and Grant and some of the young guys, there's a lot of talent in that room. I think that, Coach Mateos and Coach Grimes do a tremendous job developing those guys, and to have all of them back and a chance to keep building, it all starts there. And, you look at our offense and who we want to be and how we want to look, those guys give us that opportunity to be who we want to be.
I guess your guys in particular are excited about having all those people back.
I think so. Yeah, I think that they definitely see the work, and I think that's the benefit of veteran O-line, right? It's kind of takes time to develop that, but to have veterans on the O-line, that's where you win football games. And I think just as much as what we have on the D-line, that's what's exciting. The two lines should be one of the strengths of our football team, and we're excited about that.
Anything else?
Appreciate you guys. Thank y'all. Yep.
So there goes Shawn Bell, Baylor quarterbacks coach, talking about the competition. A word that came up a lot, Craig, was leadership. And you wrote about that today on the site, I know, and then that'll come out here shortly. But he mentioned the 8-week leadership course, which is something that, Faith, correct me if I'm wrong, like everybody kind of has access to that, right? Yeah, so a lot of athletes, volleyball, tennis, whatever you are, can take that leadership course. Blake Shapen was in that and learning about leadership.
Is it like an online thing or? Okay.
Okay, Baylor built.
Yeah, sorry, we didn't have a remote, but it's an 8-week course, and it's a Baylor built, part of Baylor built, and yeah, I was curious about that when I heard that. I thought it was very interesting, though. That's a smart idea, and especially when you hear Blake Shapen talk about he's a leader. He believes he's a leader, but it doesn't come across maybe the same way that Gary Bohannon being a leader does, because he does it in a different way. And so Gary, he gets asked if he's a leader, and he's like, yeah, I'm a leader. It's something he's still working on, but he very matter-of-factly is, yeah, I'm a leader. And you hear that all the time, and it's pretty obvious. And then with Blake Shapen, it's a little less obvious. But you ask Blake Shapen, and he's like, yeah, I'm a leader. But then you could tell he's been taking that course, because the way he went and explained, why that maybe doesn't come across the same way is because, he just goes about it differently. So that's something that they've tried to, kind of open up, that the fact that he's not a big talker, and he's more of a do it by example, but that doesn't always translate to inspiring maybe your teammates, or maybe there are some times where you do need to get a bit more vocal. And so I think that's part of what he's learned. I think that'll be very important, and I think that is a gap with him and Gary Bohannon. I think if you go and line those guys up on the team, I don't think that a bunch of them wouldn't say that Blake's a leader, but I think almost all of them would say that Gary is.
Yeah.
And, and I wouldn't doubt that if it was unanimous. So he has an edge there. He has an edge in size. He has an edge in arm strength. He has an edge in experience. He has an edge in a lot of areas. But, I'm still going to give Blake Shapen a fair shake, because I know Dave Aranda is, and that's one thing he really hammered home. He kept saying the word opportunity. He said the word opportunity 3 different times in regards to Blake Shapen, talking about how important it was that Aranda himself learned from his own mistakes in the past. And one of the things he reflected on this offseason was that how important it is for guys to feel like they actually have an opportunity. Now, you're saying there's a quarterback competition, but we all know that Gary is really the guy. But, no, there's a quarterback competition, and legitimately anybody can win it, including you, Blake Shapen. Mm-hmm. And so it's important for him to hammer that home and to know that. And so I think Blake does know that, and that's why that word opportunity was thrown out so much, from him, but also from Aranda. They're really driving home it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. But like he also said, it's Gary's job to basically lose, and it's Blake's job to basically win. Gary can't just rest on his laurels and not lose the job that way. He's got to continue to getting better as well. But there is more work to do for Blake Shapen, certainly, and it does feel like he's having to unseat a guy rather than there just being an empty chair.
Well, and I think that's probably the best way. I mean, that's the best way to go about it, because you could point to the way that either one of them threw the ball at the end of the year last year and irresponsibly be like, all right, flip it.
Yeah, no,
Blake,
absolutely.
Blake, we're flipping it. We're doing this. So
I said this a couple times now. I'm not afraid to say it again. I'm never afraid to say when I'm wrong. I got a little bit too much into the green and gold Kool-Aid as far as Blake Shapen, and I started acting like a bunch of people did when Jacob Zeno threw a couple of passes a couple years ago, and acting like that meant he should be the starting quarterback. I don't think I ever came out and just said, yeah, Blake Shapen should be the starting quarterback. But, I definitely started leaning in that direction based off of 2.5 games worth of action. It wasn't even 2.5, I don't think, but a little less than 3 games worth of total action on the year. But look, what we did see was really good. I mean, that first half against Oklahoma State prior to the injury, He was sensational, but he does have some injury concerns now. I mean, he's not as big of a guy as Gary is, and, they love to run the quarterback, so Gary's a little bit more well-suited most likely for that and just the durability factor. But, there's a lot to like about both guys. There's things both need to work on, and I think for Shapen, if he can step up that leadership aspect, in addition to, becoming more consistent, that was another thing that Shawn Bell said, then he's going to be right in the mix and make it fun. And I know Aranda thought that they could potentially name somebody, and I think that was more lip service. I don't really think they're banking on naming anybody right after spring ball. But if they don't, that won't come as a surprise. But I do think that would be a good sign if this competition were to linger, into the summer months like it did last year.
Yeah, I would think that if it lingers, although I personally don't like the tact of having to name the quarterback a week before your first game, but I do like it 2 weeks. That first.
Yeah, no, there needs to be some heads up. There needs to be some heads up, but I don't think it's necessary for Gary to be QB1 in May.
No.
For this team to be able to do what they need to do. I think the competition, and look, they're really good friends, so nobody can make it about there being any sort of a real rivalry, so to speak. It's just a competition, and they both seem to be embracing it. But I got to mention this. This is even bigger news. Outback has dropped their sponsorship of the Tampa Bay Bowl. What is going on in this world? But
just the Tampa Bay Bowl.
Yeah, it's just the Tampa Bay Bowl now. But Terrence